This is Pete Moore on Halo Talks NYC. I have the pleasure of bringing a fast-growing area developer in the Crunch brand, which is near and dear to my heart. We've got part of the management team here. We're going to do a 20-25-minute conversation and panel on how to build an area developer, how to hire the right people, and why people resonate to and congregate towards the Crunch brand, no judgments and results. So Peter, COO, Peter Constantino, kick it off for us here, and then we'll introduce the rest of the team. And I want to thank everybody for coming on.
Thank you for having us, first of all. I really appreciate it. We were excited to jump on the call today and really just kind of share a little bit about ourselves. I mean, you know a good amount about the Crunch brand. You know probably a good amount about our franchisee as well. You know, we're one of the fastest growing franchisees within the Crunch brand, sitting at 70 locations, finishing up this year around 75 locations if all falls into place. Next year, looking to add another 12 to 15 to that. I think, you know, one of the things that makes us exciting is the energy of the brand, right? Who we are, you know, what our culture stands for. But more importantly, really, I think you'll get the feeling of it throughout this call is everybody that's on this call. You know, everybody that's on here is extremely passionate about fitness. All of us grew up in fitness. It's really the only thing we knew. And we really take that to work every day with our team members and make sure that they're excited so that they can make the members excited. So I think it'll resonate to you throughout the call.
Great. And then Jackie, you want to go next?
Hey, I'm Jackie. I am on our new club development team. Have been with CR over 10 years. Super excited to be here and to be part of this opportunity, and absolutely love the fitness field. It's been a huge part of my life from the beginning, and excited to share lots of information and details with you guys today.
Great. Derek?
My name is Derek Drews, Vice President of Personal Training for CR Fitness, coming up on 8 years with the organization. I think just, you know, what's good to know before we start is that, you know, we're an organization that prioritizes people. And that's really what separated us at the end of the day, that we generally want to invest back into our people. And so I think you'll find a theme on this call pretty quickly that we've all been here for quite a while. I think in fitness, turnover is incredibly high, typically, right? And the reality is all of us has been here for a while. And it'll continue to be the case as we continue to scale, is having people that are on this journey for a long time is going to be something that separates us from maybe some of our competitors.
Yeah. And before we go to Elisa, I used to live in Manhattan Beach, California, and there was a Mexican restaurant called Pancho's on the corner. And every one of the waiters and waitresses and bartenders that worked there would have their name tag, and it would say how many years they've been there. And everyone was over 20 years. So you know that nobody works there and then looks to update their resume or LinkedIn. Like that's a family business, and you know, they hire and stay. So
I love that idea.
Elisa, fire away.
Yeah, hey there. My name's Alyssa DeQuino. I'm the VP of Group Fitness. I've been with CR Fitness for 8 years now. Actually, Derek and I started very, very similarly around the same time. But my passion is obviously group fitness style classes. I grew up dancing my whole entire life, so it was just such a natural thing to start teaching classes. And what I love about Crunch is the opportunity. And that's my biggest mission, is giving back the opportunity that I was given to my instructors, to everyone else, our employees, and having the ability to really build a career in fitness that most probably wouldn't see as possible before.
Great. And Julian just joined us as well.
Hey there, guys. So just going over how we got started in the industry.
Yeah, you have to be here for more than 8 years. You have to drop.
I've been in the industry since I was 14 years old. Started working at Lifetime Fitness when I was 14, and then started working at Crunch when I was 21, and been here for the last 10 years. Started out down in Tampa, Florida.
Great. So we know Jeff Dyer and know North Castle well from the beginning of the original investment, and obviously he came from Lifestyle Family Fitness back in the day. So Peter, what brought you to the company? And you know, being a COO of a 10 club chain is a lot different than being a COO of a 75 club chain. So maybe talk about how your opportunities, challenges, and how you've kind of flexed who you are.
Yeah, absolutely. I had the pleasure of working with Jeff over at Lifestyle Family Fitness. I was with Lifestyle for 12 years, actually. You know, I started with them, moved down from New York, from Manhattan. Started with them when they were 7 locations.
Yep.
Stayed with them all the way through the 52 locations, through the sale to LA Fitness and Lifetime and all those pieces. And I think growing through that, you got to experience a lot of the growing pains that you deal with, right? When you first start, we were all local. You could get to every club in a week. All of a sudden, you're at 52 locations. It's more difficult to get to every club. They're in other markets, and you start learning that you really have to hone in on who your brand truly is as you get into other markets. It was easy to tell people the story of lifestyle when you're in Florida because everyone knew you. All of a sudden, you get into these outside markets and it becomes difficult. And I think experiencing that with Jeff, who was a huge mentor of mine, experiencing that with him, had an opportunity to work with Tony over at Lifestyle Family Fitness. And then one of my huge mentor of mine, Kevin LaFerrier, is actually the one that brought me over to Crunch Fitness. He was with Crunch at the time, gave me a call and gave me an opportunity to walk in and build the PT team however I wanted. He was like, look, at Lifestyle, you came in as we had already started to build things. You were able to take it to a new level, but here at Crunch, it's yours. It's an open book. Build it the way you want to build it. There's exciting things going on. And sure enough, got that opportunity. They trusted me enough to take the PT team, hire on Derek Druce. He came in 2 months, I think it was, after I started. And the two of us built the PT team. As Derek said, first thing we looked at was how do we build it around our team members? How do we build it around the members themselves to make sure that they're happy first and let all the numbers and everything take care of themselves on the back end? So I think, again, going through the growing pains with Lifestyle, I was with UFit sometime through their expansion and got to see a lot of the mistakes that we made, shortcomings that we had in terms of the vision that we had or understanding what was coming next, and was able to put a lot of that into play when we came to Crunch. Not to say that we didn't hit a lot of our own bumps in the road as we went along, but as you go, the important things is we've kept a team from a home team, right? We grow from within, so everyone understands who we are, understands what we're about, and I think that makes it very easy for us, or easier for us, to be able to pivot when we need to. I think a lot of the bigger companies that I've seen or even been a part of, you start bringing people in from the outside that don't truly understand who you are. And when it's time to make a change or change on a dime and pivot, when you start to learn some of the mistakes you're making, it becomes very difficult. But with us, because everyone on this call is homegrown, you have a conversation with Jackie or Julian or Derek or Alyssa and say, hey, here's what we've seen. Here's some of the opportunities we have. Here's what we see that's coming down the road. Here's some of the changes we need to make. And it's made within a day or two. We change and do what we need to do. So, it's been an exciting run. I think there's a lot for us to learn now that we started taking on some of these outside markets. Mm-hmm. Funny, Julian and I were talking about it this morning as we were, touring clubs together. You look at some of the outside markets, and there's just differences in seasonalities and people's personalities and when people are excited about being in the gyms. And you have to be able to adapt to that quickly and understand it and recognize it quickly. And I think we've done an amazing job with this team of being able to do that. So
great. So Jackie, as you look at new club development, and we've done a lot of work with Crunch and area developers. There's a Crunch 1.0, a 2.0, a 3.0. There's rising construction costs. There's can't necessarily take the membership pricing up because this is the model, and that model needs to be nationwide. So when you look at new opportunities, do you look at them and say, hey, I want to convince myself to do a new location, or convince me, I want to say no, but convince me to say yes? Or how have you kind of recalibrated how you think about opportunities?
I absolutely love all the opportunities that we have. I love going into new markets. Currently, we are developing, obviously, in Florida. We just started Tennessee. We have some clubs in Texas. We have North Carolina. We have Georgia. And I think with every new market you go into, there's a certain level of excitement to bring what Crunch has. When I started with Crunch, we had 2 locations. I remember walking into places in Carrollwood and Tampa, Florida, and be like, yeah, I'm from Crunch. And people would be like, what is Crunch? They had no idea.
Right.
And it has become really exciting to be part of a brand now that when you come into a market, people know, and they're so excited that we are coming to the market. And then for markets such as Tennessee or Texas, when we first started out there, the challenges that you embrace, being able to develop not only the community to know who we are, but to develop the teams to who we are. I remember when we started our first club in South Florida, we road tripped our furthest south club all the way to Kissimmee to let them feel what Crunch is, because you can explain it, But until you walk into a location and you hear the music and you get the high fives and you get that excitement of Alyssa with a group fitness class, they couldn't experience that. And when they finally feel that vibe, it's part of our biggest onboarding with new club development. You can't work a day in the field until you've come in and taken a workout, you've done a tour, and you've been part of us. And I think that's a huge part of the excitement that as we go into new clubs and new markets, I get to be a huge part of that opportunity.
And Alyssa, over to you on the group exercise. Obviously, there's been a lot of studio growth. When Crunch started back with Doug Levine back in New York, it basically was just group exercise, with a punch card. And obviously group programming and maybe, an edgier side to group programming was always, kind of the DNA of Crunch. So one question is, what type of people are you recruiting for that? Are they instructors? Are they, actors or entertainers? And like you're kind of, turning them into fitness instructors because they have a personality? Or are you looking for people that have mastered some certification or trade or been from another club that you're recruiting, basically also probably bringing members with them?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's actually a little bit of both, right? I will tell you, my favorite applicant sometimes is just coming from our member base because they tend to just love Crunch. So if they're taking classes, they're in the classes, we can tell that they have the personality and love for it. We can give them all the tools and the tricks on like getting certified and becoming that great Crunch instructor. The biggest thing I look for is personality. They have to have a fun, vibrant energy, because a lot of the time classes is entertainment, right? A lot of people coming to classes, they're coming there because they need motivation. They need someone to tell them what to do. They might be dreading going to the gym, but it's the 45 minutes, 3 minutes, hour with us that makes their day. So you have to provide that entertainment factor. So yeah, dancers tend to have that it factor that we look for. But also having those really skilled, educated instructors are great too. It's just, it always comes down to their personality where we find that they're a great fit here. Because we want to be edgy. We want to be that outside the box type of brand. It's not going to be very, very robotic. I always tell my instructors, I never want you to become a Crunch robot. I want you to be you, but with our Crunch branding and our guided classes that we create. So all comes down to their personality, because I can't teach that. I can teach everything else.
Right. So we worked on a deal once recently where a Crunch franchise area developer was buying another club chain in the same market. And turned out 50% of the employees that worked in personal training and Group X worked at both locations and were basically like filling their calendar. So as you're at 75 clubs now and you're kind of militarily or like tactically moving, do you now have the ability to have group instructors that have a full-time job and that are going to each one of the clubs, or do you still kind of keep it as 1099? Maybe Alyssa and Peter, if you want
100%.
to follow.
Actually, all of our instructors are W4, W2. Okay. So they all work for us. They have the ability to go teach at anywhere else. But what's great about us, especially when we start opening a lot of different locations within the same area, they tend to just fall towards Crunch, because instead of working for all these different gyms, they get the ability to teach at multiple locations. So they have that change from gym to gym every day or every other, like basically morning and night even, within our member base. So they have like such a cool opportunity of finding different people, but within our Crunch brand, which also makes it easier for them too, because they're only learning one formatting. It's not going to another gym and learning their formatting. And then two, the opportunity that we bring of you can teach a lot of different stuff, from group fitness to boxing to hit zone, hot studio, where we have hot yoga and hot fitness. Like they really get to add to their repertoire of what they get to teach through us.
And do you find that that's also easier to recruit the best people because you're actually offering them benefits and health insurance and not just, hey, here's a 1099, good luck, but you're not really part of the team versus, hey, we're here to grow with you and we can actually offer you these benefits that on your own might be cost prohibitive.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they're always so psyched for the growth. They want to be a part of it. Most of these instructors want to be a part of a family. You kind of hit home with that. Also being a part of a team instead of being one-on-one. It's all about like the community vibe. So doing that on your own and building community is tough. But when you get our vehicle of CR Fitness and Crunch Fitness and have the ability to grow the community, not in just one gym, but multiple locations within our area, it's so powerful. So they definitely love that we bring.
Gotcha. Derek, over to you on the personal training side. A couple of questions. One is, there were questions originally when the HVLP 1.0 and 2.0 came out that the community and the members that you're going to bring maybe don't have as much disposable income to actually spend on personal training. So some people said, hey, that's a good idea, but probably not the right population to feed into. How have you seen that kind of contradict what people thought? And also the benefit of having PT on a recurring basis and what kind of results you're seeing?
Yeah, I think
I'm setting you up for that right now.
No. I think, to be honest, that was part of the challenge that Pete and I liked when we got here. I remember some of the conversations early on where some of our clubs weren't necessarily in the best demographic areas, for example, right? And the first club that I got to be a part of when we got here was still today probably our lowest demographic club, and it's a club that's done well over $200,000 a month in PT multiple times.
Wow!
And so I think when we got here, Pete and I knew we knew sales, we understand sales, we're great at sales. But if we made it about sales, we were probably going to struggle in this type of demographic that some of our clubs are in a high value, low cost operation, right? And so it was about creating a product that was so valuable that it outweighed the cost and people wanted to make the investment. And so it was about creating a sales process that our people believed in and that didn't come off salesy. And so that was our goal from the very beginning was, let's develop our people at the highest level in the industry. Let's onboard them unlike anywhere else. Let's give them a value proposition that's so strong the members will find the money because they believe in the product versus trying to find a bunch of skilled salespeople that were slick and could, maybe sell a training, but then, that member declines next month because of some of the demographics you're speaking to, right? So our approach had to be different. And so when we got here, it was never about revenue. It was about finding people that believed what we believed. It was about finding people that wanted to genuinely care for someone. Because if you're cared about and you find crunch as maybe the highlight of your day, you're going to find the disposable income because it's the most valuable thing in your life. And so that was our focus early on. And it's led to, us becoming a top PT department in the industry.
It's amazing. Julian, over to you. Lifetime, you're running like a big box. You're running like a family, environment. You're trying to get revenue, per family, maybe is like one of the KPIs. So as you kind of like brought into Crunch, how did you kind of change your perspective on like, what am I doing here? How do I, what constitutes a win?
Yeah, well, I actually think that it was a really good transition because I think that there were a lot of things that I brought from Lifetime that ended up impacting me in a big way in the HVLP sector, because obviously in HVLP, it's volume. And like you said, Lifetime, it's much more about getting a smaller amount of people paying a lot more money. And in HVLP, it's kind of the exact opposite. And so one thing that I was kind of ingrained with at Lifetime was that very customer service, that customer centric approach that a lot of times you don't see in HVLP. You see that it's very much, it's just about churn and burn. And I brought in a lot of those elements that, you would find in a Lifetime where it's all about the highs and the buys and the relationships and learning every single member's name. And that actually helped accelerate me into being good in sales. And as we know, in the fitness industry, numbers get you noticed. And, that allowed me to move into management pretty quickly and then kind of be able to ingrain my team with that same mentality where it's service first rather than sales first. And then, focusing on service only helps sales kind of to resonate in a way of what, Derek exactly just said. So it was a pretty smooth transition. And in a lot of ways, that hospitality focus is what set me up for a lot of success here at Crunch.
That's good to hear. Yeah, we're investors in a company called Promotion Vault. I think you use them for member referrals and some, incentive programs. Yeah, I said this quote the other day. I want to get, Peter, maybe your reaction. About a year ago, I said, I was at a tech conference. You can't have artificial intelligence until you have intelligence. And just to say like, hey, to your point, Julian, I used to go to summer camp by the time you end the first week, 600 people's names, right? So it's not difficult to do. And I feel like some people that are in the HVLP 1.0, 2.0, 3.0 say there's so many people, so much volume, like I can't personalize it. And I kind of call bullshit on that because this is a relationship and you're paying me money and we have a relationship. It's not, $30 a month. It's 360 plus, So Peter, your reaction, or like how you're actually saying like, hey, I can't get data. Like I'm not hindered by my business model of HVLP to make me not do things that I want to do. I can do.
Yeah, what kind of happened with Derek and Julian said, I don't think any of us on here walked into Crunch thinking it was an HVLP. What I mean by that is we didn't walk in with that mindset or that mentality. We walked into it as just another gym. There's equipment in there. There's a roof over our head. There's members standing in here. Treat them the way you would have treated them at Lifetime or Lifestyle or UFit or whatever company you were with, and you're going to win. And, it's funny. We attacked it differently. Exactly like you said. I'm very old school in a lot of the things that I'll do. Mm-hmm. The same quizzes that I used to do with trainers back in the day, I do today. You walk in and say, go out there and tell me 5 people that you know. Do you know their names? Do you know their phone numbers? Do you know their birth dates? Do you know their kids? Do you know something about them? Right? Not making it about going out there and finding a prospect or a client, but go out there and become the mayor of the gym. Make sure everybody knows your name. You know everybody else's name, so that people feel like when they walk in, they're coming home, right? They're coming to a family. And I think when you treat it that way, when you create an environment like that, I don't think people that are paying $10 or people paying $100. I think people walk in the door, and if they feel at home and they feel trusted and they feel heard, they find value in what you're doing and they find a way to become a part of it. And I think that's how all of us have attacked it. We've always looked at it as, this isn't a $10 model. This is whatever we make it. This is whatever environment that we create. And I think that's what's been great about all of us, is we've all come from models that, charge a higher price point. You've been into that type of level, and we walked into Crunch going, we can create that same environment here. Let's just attack it that way.
Nice. And then Alyssa, from the group exercise side of it, how do you think about membership and how many people are using it? And then Derek, if you kind of comment on, are you kind of toggling people between, hey, I want you to do 3 days of group exercise and you're going to do a couple of days of personal training? I feel like that model makes sense, but not necessarily has been like implemented successfully in a lot of places I've seen. So Alyssa, I'll start with you on Group X and maybe prescriptive Group X.
Yeah, so we do a really great job of creating a experienced tour process. I mean, that's all Julian, and really getting the nuts and bolts of what the member wants out of a gym. And then from there, we can cater classes based off of like what their need is, right? So if someone's coming in and they need cardio, then we have thousands of cardio classes that we can quote unquote prescribe to them. Vice versa, we always want to see like what they might need that they don't know that they're going to need. I think that's something that's great about Crunch is we offer so much that they might have never known that they needed hot yoga, but they go and step in a hot yoga class and they're like, wow, like I feel 10 times better after I take that style class. Membership wise, at the end of the day, we got to sell the memberships and then we'll get them into those classes based off of just also to the excitement. But starting with that tour process and really being able to build value based on what we offer for such a low price, because you're not going to find that anywhere else. As you mentioned, the studios that we compete with, like they offer amazing classes, but you pay for it. So we really challenge to provide that same type of value for the cost that we have. And it's just unmatched for our members, giving them that true accessibility through our membership that they don't get anywhere else.
Yeah, Julian, you want to, I think we dropped Derek here. You want to just comment on like bringing somebody through different programming inside the club and how does that actually get executed?
Yeah, if we're talking about it, I think that the member experience is a reflection of the team member experience. And so, making sure that you're always going back to a systematic and structured onboarding process where, people aren't just getting thrown into the mix. They're experiencing your product and turning them into raving fans. I think that, to add on actually to a point, just a little off topic on it, but still along the same line, one of the things that Alyssa brought up earlier is we love hiring people that are members because a lot of the times they're fans of the product, but and they already know it themselves, but really just making sure that your onboarding process is really forcing your team to experience your product, fall in love with the group fitness programming, fall in love with, the process of PT and, incentivizing people to get involved in personal training and group fitness is something that's huge because if we're all, using the product ourselves, we're obviously going to have a firsthand experience to where we're going to want to share it with other people. And, so, and in sales, we all know that excitement's caught, not taught. So making them excited about it is key. And that begins with onboarding.
Pete, to speak to the PT side for a second, because I know Derek had some difficulties, just fell off, unfortunately. One of the things that we built into the program early on for PT was that within our presentation, Group X was a part of it. What I mean by that is it wasn't your program design is just meeting with a trainer. Your program design is here's your sessions with the trainer, here's your sessions on your own, and oh, by the way, here's how we're going to fill in those gaps of cardio or flexibility or mobility or whatever it is, utilizing Group X. We knew it was important early on. Somebody gets involved in Group X, they're staying longer than your average member, right? So we know it's important for us to get them involved, and we make sure that we plug them in as many places as possible.
One of the benefits of having a franchise or franchisee relationship is they'll give you the blueprint of here's what we want on the equipment side. Here's what we want on the layout. Here's the site selection with Buxton and all those nice, reports. What are some of the things that maybe you've had like an aha moment on, or said like, hey, this is like Crunch specific, or hey, we're doing a couple things here that maybe is behind the curtain, but it actually like is really beneficial because we have someone that wakes up every day and is trying to get the franchisees to be more successful?
I think being part of New Club, I've watched the whole evolution, as you said, from 1 to 2 to 3. And right now we're getting ready to launch our East Plano location, which is going to be the first 3.0 in the country. And it is incredible watching how we have evolved from day one. Like I look at our offerings. I remember when we first got Hammer Strength, we were so excited to get Hammer Strength at St. Pete. That was a huge thing that Tony wanted to get. I look at, we didn't have a Relax and Recover when I started. I remember my office at Carrollwood disappeared and turned into the hydro massage room. And now it's not hydro massage, it's compression massage, it's cryo loungers, it's level 2 stand-up tanning beds. And then when you look at the evolution of our studios, we went from having a standard group fitness studio to now having cycle classes, not just hot. We have the Hot Stuff Studio, which has a ton of offerings, HIIT and boxing. And so for me, it's super exciting because all of a sudden, the evolution of what we offer, when I'm out in the field marketing and I go up to somebody and, we're an entry-level price gym, but the offerings that we have, when I have a conversation with somebody, I'll jokingly say, hey, all the money you're going to save, you can take me out for lunch, because they're saving a ton of money. If you compare people that are going to different studios and, they have all these different separate memberships, and then all of a sudden they come to Crunch, and it doesn't matter if you're deconditioned and you're afraid to come to the gym. It's okay. Start with the Relax and Recover. If you're somebody that's super hardcore, we've got tons of squat racks. If you're somebody that whatever you want, we have something for everybody. And I think that is what has really made us successful, because we appeal to everybody. One of my favorite questions I get is, who's your customer? And I always chuckle when people ask me that, because I'm saying it's everybody. There's not one person that we appeal to. It doesn't matter your age. It doesn't matter your demographic. We will work in one way or another for everyone.
Yeah, great. So Peter, in closing here, for the audience, there's probably 8 private equity groups now that are invested in Crunch area developers. That number is going to probably continue to rise. A lot of the private equity investors that missed the wave of Planet and missed the wave of Orange Theory, I think are now getting in on Crunch as saying like, okay, I'm not missing this one. So maybe how do you see, the brand trending? How excited are you about the next several years? And, where do you think the biggest opportunity is? And I appreciate everybody coming on.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for us, as I said, 12 to 15 locations each year. I think the brand as a whole, you'll start to see everybody start to speed up. We've made some changes in the corporate office. Shaquan came on with us, I think, with a new mindset, some new ideas that are really going to push us. We brought people in to start looking at franchising just outside of the U.S. and start changing the industry that way, or changing our part of the industry that way. I think when you look at us, the biggest opportunity is how that we start to connect with medical groups, with insurance companies, be able to offer people that gap, right? You finish with your physical therapy. There's a gap between that and when you get into the fitness industry, and nobody's really tapped into it correctly. Everyone's tried. Everyone's finds ways to get members in the door and do that. But I don't think anybody's correctly looked at it and said, okay, I'm going to be able to take you from A to Z. And I think anyone who does that, whether it be Crunch or anyone that's out there, finds that space and how to really tap into it correctly and work with the insurance companies. I think they're the ones that are going to really jump off. And Crunch, we're positioned and poised the right way to be able to do that. CR Fitness in general, you look at our PT team, we're industry leaders in that way, and we're constantly looking at how we can tap into it. So I think we'll be I'm going to be boastful here and say I believe we'll be one of the first that's going to be able to do it. And I'm excited to see where it goes.
That's great.
Derek, you want to tap in there for a second?
Yeah, Derek,
you just jumped
give us
in.
a closer.
You didn't get to speak.
Yeah, sorry guys. We're doing a test pilot here right now, and so they're messing with the internet, so I lost internet.
No problem.
I think that echoes Pete's point. I think, a lot of times you see companies in the industry right now that were strong players that are now starting to struggle. And I think a lot of that is because of their inability to adapt. And I think for us, one of the things that Tony, our CEO, says all the time is we have to be risk takers. And I think at CR Fitness specifically, we're willing to take risks. We have to. Our members deserve that. And so I think that's one of the things you'll see from the Crunch brand in general over the next couple of years is we're going to take some risks. We're going to throw some things out there that other groups haven't been willing to do. And something's going to stick. And whatever it is that sticks is going to allow us to be innovative and I think set the tone for the rest of the industry. And I'm excited to see what that is.
All right. So CR Fitness is now Crunch Risk Fitness. And we're going to see the results of that. So
I like that.
I like that.
I'll take that.
And, look, having you guys as thought leaders and action leaders in the industry and in a franchise really, I think is important because it does raise the bar of what other people should be doing and then sharing those best practices. I've seen that out of your group into other groups that I work with. And, please, give my regards to your crew there that I've known for many years with Lifetime Family Fitness. I think I used to run your website back in 2000, back in the day. So things have come a long way, but focusing on employees first and actually building the foundation. It's hard to not make the playoffs every year if you have a great team. So congrats on what you guys have built, and thanks for coming on Halo Talks and changing millions of people's lives.
Thank you.
Awesome.